Welcome to Therapy Crime Scenes, where I dive into the intersection of true crime and mental health through the lens of a licensed therapist. My name is John Cordray. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and today we're going to take a look and revisit that tragic day in March 2023 when Audrey Hale broke into Covenant Christian School in Nashville and killed multiple people. It's been over 2 years since that tragic day. And just recently, of April of 2025, the Metro Nashville Police Department released a comprehensive report that sheds new light on Hale's motivations, planning, and mental health struggles. So stay tuned. A lot of new information here. I also want to point out that this case is really heavy. It involves the lives of 6 people, including 3 children. And it raises some very complex questions about mental health and societal responsibility. As a counselor, my goal isn't just to recount the events, but to unpack the mental health themes that may have been going on inside of Audrey. Why did she do this? What was her motivation for doing this? And learn how we can prevent this from future events. We'll talk about Hale's documented mental health history and the role of manipulation in evading intervention and the broader implications for the mental health care systems. Before we begin, I want to stress another content warning here. We're going to be talking about mass shootings, violence, suicidal, homicidal ideation, and mental health struggles. So beware, this might cause some triggers, but it's really important for us to bring out this mental health issues within Audrey. March 27, 2023, or 28-year-old Audrey Hale, a former student of Covenant Christian School, which is a private Christian elementary school in Nashville, entered the building armed with 3 firearms. In just 14 minutes, Hale killed 6 people, 3 9-year-old students, Evelyn, Hale, and William, and 3 staff members, custodian Mike, substitute teacher Cynthia, and a head of school Catherine. Hale fired 152 rounds before being fatally shot by the responding police officers. It was Tennessee's deadliest school shooting, and it shook the entire nation. Hale, who identified as a transgender man and used he/him pronouns on social media, left behind extensive writings, over 1,200 pages, across 16 notebooks, spanning from 2017 to the day of the attack. Initially, police identified these as a manifesto, but in the 2025 report, it clarifies that this was a mischaracterization. Instead, these writings include detailed plans, timelines, diagrams, and personal reflections on Hale's life and mental health, and a deep desire to become famous. The report, released on April 2nd, 2025 by the Metro Nashville Police Department, provides the most comprehensive picture yet of Hale's mindset and preparation. It also raises critical questions about mental health intervention, which we'll explore today. Let's start with Audrey Hale's mental health history, which began in childhood. According to the police report, Hale's mother noticed developmental delays when Hale was around 6 years old. She suspected autism and sought professional help. A mental health provider did determine that Hale had developmental delays, particularly in social assertiveness, emotional processing, and anxiety, but found no evidence of autism spectrum disorder. This early intervention marked the beginning of Hale's long relationship with mental health care, including over 2 decades of treatment at the Vanderbilt University Medical Center, where Hale was diagnosed with at least 5 mental health conditions, including major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, social phobias, and anger management issues. As a counselor, I find this striking. Hale's struggles were documented from a very early age, and her parents were proactive in seeking help, even though they weren't legally obligated to do so as Hale reached adulthood. Yet, Hale was able to conceal the severity of her mental health decline. The report describes Hale as highly manipulative, deliberately withholding information about suicidal and homicidal ideations from therapists and family. For example, back in 2019, Hale disclosed to a therapist of having suicidal and homicidal ideation, but later denied these in a follow-up sessions, convincing providers that these issues were resolved. Psychological assessments in 2019 and 2021 at Vanderbilt concluded Hale wasn't psychotic and recommended outpatient care, missing the escalating risk. This raises critical mental health indicators here. It highlights the challenge for assessing risk when the client is intentionally deceptive. As therapists, we rely on honest feedback, not someone who's deceptive and trying to get a different outcome. To miss that mark as a therapist, it's pretty easy when a client is deceptive. In therapy, we rely really heavily on self-reporting. If a client is skilled at manipulation, as Hale was, it can be incredibly difficult to detect danger. Hale understood the mental health system well enough to avoid the red flags, like discussing homicidal fantasies of her obsession with mass shootings. She even planned to kill her mother at one point to prevent discovery, though she never acted on this. This level of secrecy underscores a gap in our ability to intervene when someone is determined to evade help. The 2025 report reveals that Hale's primary motive for the shooting was to become famous through violence. She was inspired by the 1999 Columbine shootings, and she wanted to be famous just like them. Hale studied their writings, admiring how their mental health struggles and societal rejections mirrored her own. She wrote about wanting to become a god like them, believing that killing children, victims nobody would forget, would cement her legacy. Hale fantasized about her firearms being displayed in the museum in her bedroom, preserved as a memorial. She hoped to inspire books and documentaries, and even hoped to inspire future shooters. This obsession and infamy is really a chilling mental health theme here. From a counseling perspective, it points to a deep sense of alienation and a distorted need for significance. Hale felt invisible, misunderstood, and rejected. Emotions she tied to her mental health struggles and, in her writings, to her gender identity and perceived discrimination. She believed that only through extreme violence could she achieve lasting recognition. This aligns with what we know about mass shooters, a desire to transcend their plan by leaving a mark on the world, no matter how destructive. As therapists, we often work with clients who feel powerless and unseen. The difference here is that Hale's pain turned outward in a catastrophic way. Her writings suggest that she saw the Covenant Christian School as a soft target, where she wouldn't be overpowered, but also as a place of personal significance. She described her time at Covenant School as the happiest of her childhood, a place where she felt safe and accepted. This paradox, targeting a place of fond memories, speaks to a profound internal conflict. It's as if Hale wanted to reclaim that happiness through destruction, a twisted attempt to reconcile her past with her present despair. Let's talk about how Hale evaded intervention here. The report details her meticulous efforts to hide her plans. She avoided using credit cards for the attack, knowing her mother could track them. She removed incriminating material from her computer and phone. When her parents expressed concern about her owning firearms, Hale began renting guns at ranges and bought concealable weapons. She even changed her target from her former middle school to Covenant Elementary School to avoid being labeled as a racist, which she believed would taint her narrative. This level of calculation is alarming, but it also highlights systemic gaps. Hale was under the care for an emotional disorder, as confirmed by Nashville Police Chief John Drake in 2023. Her parents didn't think she should own weapons, yet she legally purchased 7 firearms from 5 stores between 2020 and 2022. Tennessee's gun laws, which have few restrictions, didn't require mental health disclosures beyond what Hale provided, and she lied on the forms, denying prior mental health issues. This raises questions about how we balance individual rights with public safety, especially when mental health records aren't easily accessible to background check systems. There's also the issue of mental health records. The 2025 report also confirms that police abandoned the efforts to obtain Hale's full mental health records after leaks eroded her parents' trust. So this is a catch-22 here. We need the records to understand what went wrong, but privacy laws, HIPAA laws, and trust issues can block access. As a counselor, I'm torn here. Confidentiality is sacred. It's something that we protect as mental health providers. But when it comes to a clear risk, we have a duty to warn. But the challenge here is knowing that that threshold is crossed, especially when the client is deceptive. So what can we learn from this? First, Hale's case underscores the complexity of mental health intervention. She was in treatment for decades, yet her worsening anxiety, depression, and rage went undetected. This isn't a failure of her providers. Manipulation is a real barrier. But it does suggest we need better tools for risk assessment, like standardized protocols for evaluating homicidal ideation or cross-referencing mental health in firearms data. Second, it highlights the role of societal factors. Hale's obsession with the Columbine shootings and her desire for being famous were fueled by a culture that sometimes glorifies violence through media. As therapists, we can't fix society, but we can help clients navigate these influences. Ethically, the case challenges us to balance empathy with accountability. Hale was a person in pain, struggling with mental health issues from childhood, but she also made choices that led to an unimaginable harm. I feel compassion for her suffering, but I don't excuse her behavior. I grieve for the families and the victims of Covenant Christian School. I think of Hale's parents and the struggles and the hardships that they must be still going through. Holding both truth, empathy for the individual, but condemnation for the act is a part of our work as therapists. It's messy, but it's necessary. As I close, I want to honor the memory of Evelyn, Haley, William, Mike, Cynthia, and Catherine. It is a tragedy and grief that will be lasting for many, many years, not only for Covenant Christian School, but also for the church. And this is something that affects the entire community and the nation. The ripple effects go way beyond what we can ever imagine. And I want to hold respect and honor those victims who are still struggling, the loss of loved ones and friends. For us as therapists, the work continues. And if you're struggling with mental health issues, please reach out, get help. Don't be deceptive. Don't lie to your therapist. Be honest. They're there to help you cope through your struggles. If you're a professional therapist or in the mental health system, let's keep advocating for better systems to catch those falling through the cracks. Thanks for watching Therapy Crime Scenes. Today we looked at a really hard case. I think it's important for us to revisit this, not only what happened, but why it happened, to look at the mental health issues and the struggles, look at the gaps of the mental health care, and figure out what can we do better next time to prevent tragedies like this shooting in Covenant Christian School. For those of you who are struggling with suicidal ideation or even homicidal ideation, there's help for you. Please get help. Reach out to a therapist. Be honest. Don't deceive before something tragic might happen in your life. Thank you so much. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Therapy Crime Scenes.